Steam is going crazy with deals again, and the spring sale is packed with some of the best offers we've seen in a while. Huge AAA discounts, fan-favorite games dropping to almost nothing, massive bundles, and even a few deals that feel way too good for the price. We're talking discounts up to 95% off, which means you can grab some seriously good games for just a few dollars. So today I've put together a fresh list of the best spring sale deals you should not miss. Let's start with Hello Neighbor, currently sitting at a huge 90% off. This is that weird, unpredictable stealth horror game where you break into your neighbor's house and try to figure out what he's hiding in the basement. The AI actually learns from your actions, sets traps, blocks your paths, and forces you to constantly change how you play. It's not just about sneaking, it's about experimenting, failing, and slowly figuring things out. For this price, it's a fun and unusual experience that still stands out. Next up is the Quantic Dream Collection, and right now it's sitting at a massive 90% off for 4 full games. Detroit, Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, Heavy Rain, and Fahrenheit. If you enjoy story-driven games where your choices actually matter, this is one of the best deals you can get. Each of these games focuses on decisions, consequences, and multiple endings. Detroit alone has dozens of possible outcomes, and the level of detail in how your choices affect the story is still impressive even today. Heavy Rain is darker and more grounded, Beyond brings a more emotional and cinematic feel, and Fahrenheit is just a classic. 4 full narrative experiences for this price is honestly a steal. And next is The Hunter, Call of the Wild, also dropping to 90% off. This is one of the most realistic hunting simulators out there. Huge open maps, dynamic weather, animal behavior that actually feels believable, and a very slow, immersive pace. You track animals, follow footprints, listen for sounds, and plan every shot carefully. It's not for everyone, but if you enjoy relaxing, methodical gameplay, and beautiful nature environments, this game can easily pull you in for hours. Next up is OneShot, currently 40% off. This is a very unique puzzle adventure that breaks the fourth wall in a really clever way. You guide a character through a dying world, and the game constantly plays with your expectations. Next up is Pocket Mirror, Segar's GoldenerTraum, now 50% off. A dark, atmospheric horror experience with beautiful pixel art and a very mysterious story. If you like psychological horror with a strong vibe, this is a great pick. And next we have Buffet Night, Decadent Full Course, also 50% off. A fast-paced and chaotic action game where you defeat enemies and literally eat them to get stronger. Simple idea, but really fun and surprisingly addictive. Up next is Mushihimesama, sitting at 45% off. A classic bullet hell shooter with intense patterns and super satisfying gameplay once you get into it. Great for both beginners and fans of the genre. Next we have DARIUSBURST Chronicle Saviours, now 70% off. Huge bosses, branching paths, and a very unique style with mechanical sea creatures. A solid pick if you enjoy arcade shooters. Next up is DoDonPachi Resurrection at 45% off. Fast, chaotic, and extremely rewarding. This is one of the best bullet hell games if you want a real challenge. Next up is Battlefield, and right now Battlefield 1, 4, 5, and even 2042 are all sitting at massive 95% discounts. This is one of the best times ever to jump into the series. Whether you prefer modern combat in Battlefield 4, the World War atmosphere of Battlefield 1, the large-scale chaos of Battlefield 5, or the updated systems in 2042, you're getting full-scale multiplayer warfare with huge maps, vehicles, destruction, and that classic Battlefield sandbox. For this price, even trying just one of them is worth it, but grabbing multiple games from the series is honestly a no-brainer. Next, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator is also down to 90% off, and this one is pure chaos in the best way possible. You build ridiculous armies, place units, and then just watch everything fall apart in the most unpredictable ways. Physics-based combat, silly animations, and endless combinations make every battle different. It's the kind of game you open for a few minutes and suddenly realize you've been playing for an hour. Super fun, super random, and definitely worth it at this price. And next we have For Honor, dropping all the way to 95% off. A competitive melee combat game with knights, samurai, vikings, and unique heroes, all with different fighting styles. The combat system is deep, skill-based, and still feels unique even years later. Duels are intense, team fights are chaotic, and learning each character takes time, which makes it even more rewarding. At 95% off, this is one of the easiest recommendations in the entire video. Next up is Borderlands 3, currently sitting at a massive 90% off. This is one of the best looter shooters you can get right now. Fast-paced gunplay, insane weapon variety, constant upgrades, and a ton of chaotic action. Every gun feels different, every fight turns into pure pure madness, and the co-op makes it even better. The story is fun, the world is colorful, and there's a huge amount of content to go through. At 90% off, this is an easy pickup, especially if you enjoy games where loot and progression never stop. And next we have Warhammer Vermintide 2, also down to 90% off. If you liked Left 4 Dead style co-op games, this is one of the best modern versions of that formula. You and your team fight through waves of enemies, complete missions, upgrade your characters, and try to survive increasingly difficult encounters. The melee combat feels heavy and satisfying, the classes are well designed, and the replayability is huge. For this price, it's perfect if you want something to play with friends. Up next is Back 4 Blood, sitting at a 90% discount, another co-op zombie shooter, but this one adds its own twist with the card system that changes your abilities and playstyle. Every run feels a bit different depending on your build and your team setup. It's fast, chaotic, and designed for replayability. If you enjoy cooperative shooters and want something modern with a lot of action, this is a solid choice at this price. And next is Control Ultimate Edition, also dropping to 90% off, a stylish third-person action game with one of the most unique atmospheres in recent years. You play as Jesse, exploring a mysterious government building filled with supernatural events, telekinesis, levitation, destructible environments, and a story that constantly keeps you guessing. The Ultimate Edition also includes all DLC, so you're getting the full experience. At 90% off, this is easily one of the best single-player deals right now. Next up is Alan Wake, currently sitting at a huge 90% off. This is one of those story-driven games that really sticks with you, a psychological thriller where you play as a writer trapped in a dark supernatural story that feels like it's coming to life around him. The atmosphere is incredible, the pacing keeps you hooked, and the whole game feels like a mix between a TV series and a horror experience. If you enjoy strong storytelling with a unique vibe, this is absolutely worth grabbing at this price. And next we have Zombie Army 4 Dead War, also at 90% off, a co-op shooter focused on blasting through hordes of zombies with over-the-top weapons, slow-motion kills, and chaotic missions. It's very arcade-like, very satisfying, and perfect if you just want pure action without overthinking it. The progression system, weapon upgrades, and co-op gameplay make it easy to jump in and just have fun. At 90% off, it's a great pick for playing with friends. Up next is the Sniper Ghost Warrior franchise with massive 90% discounts across the series. If you enjoy long-range combat, planning your shots, and playing more tactically, these games are all about that sniper experience. Open maps, multiple ways to approach objectives, stealth mechanics, and that satisfying feeling of landing a perfect shot from a distance. Some entries are better than others, but at this price, it's a solid pickup if you like slower, more methodical shooters. Next we've got Inside and Limbo, both sitting at 90% off. These are two of the most iconic indie games ever made. Limbo is dark, minimalistic, and puzzle-focused, while Inside takes everything to the next level with better visuals, deeper gameplay, and a much stronger narrative feel. They are not long, but the atmosphere, sound design, and overall experience make them unforgettable. At 90% off for both, this is easily one of the best indie deals you can grab. Next up is Saints Row, the third remastered, currently sitting at a huge 90% off. This is pure chaos and fun in open world form. Over-the-top missions, ridiculous weapons, crazy customization, and that signature Saints Row humor. It doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that's exactly why it works. If you just want to mess around, cause destruction, and enjoy a sandbox without Ogranichenia, this is a perfect pick at this price. And next we have Worms W.M.D dropping all the way to 95% off, a classic turn-based strategy game where you control a team of worms and try to destroy your opponents using insane weapons and creative tactics. It's simple to understand, but very hard to master, especially in multiplayer. Perfect for playing with friends, whether locally or online. At 95% off, it's basically a must-have for casual fun. Up next is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, currently at 90% off. A fast-paced action roguelike where you play as the turtles, fighting through levels, upgrading abilities, and trying different builds every run. The combat is smooth, the art style is clean, and the replayability is strong thanks to the roguelike structure. Great for quick sessions or longer runs, especially if you like action games with progression. Next, we have Outward Definitive Edition, sitting at a massive 95% discount. This is a hardcore RPG that doesn't hold your hand at all. No quest markers, no easy shortcuts, and every decision matters. You manage hunger, temperature, injuries, and your overall survival while exploring a large open world. It can feel rough at first, but that's what makes it rewarding, and the co-op adds a whole new layer to the experience. At 95% off, It's an incredible deal for RPG fans. And that's it for today's best spring sale deals. If you found something for yourself, make sure to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. We're already getting close to 9,000 subscribers, which is honestly insane, so thank you all for the support. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.